Spring has sprung, and today on Cravings Food Adventures, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious boneless stuffed lamb with goat cheese and red peppers. Hi everyone, I'm Ahmed, and I'm going to show you this recipe that I learned how to make at George Brown Culinary. I love this recipe. It's got goat cheese and red peppers, and it's slathered in mustard. It's cooked in a really hot oven and is super delicious. So let me show you how to make it. Let's start with sweating some onions in some olive oil. The recipe calls for white onions, but I only have red onions on hand, so I hope that's okay. I'm going to sweat that for a few minutes, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of garlic that's chopped really fine. Once that's cooked a little bit, I'm going to add some red pepper. I've got a cup of red pepper that I cut into little pieces. And once that's cooking for about 30 seconds or less, I'm going to add some herbs. I've got about 3 sprigs of rosemary. I'm going to add about half a cup of parsley that I've chopped, and I'm also going to add about 3 sprigs of thyme. I'm not going to cook that too long, just going to mix it up, and I'm going to turn the flame off. While the pan is still hot, I'm going to add some goat cheese. Now my recipe calls for 60 grams of goat cheese, but I'm using 150 grams because I love goat cheese. I'm going to add that goat cheese right in. Now you should see your goat cheese melt right away. If it doesn't, you can turn your gas or your flame back on till your goat cheese melts. But don't cook it too much because you don't want your herbs to cook. Then I'm going to add half teaspoon of mustard that has a whole grain texture, as well as half a teaspoon of my favorite French Dijon mustard. Mix it all together and leave it to cool. It's very important that the filling cools because you cannot add a warm filling to your lamb as it can cause bacterial issues. While my goat cheese filling is cooling down, we're going to work on the lamb. I've got a previously frozen boneless leg of lamb. We get the best lamb from New Zealand. I'm going to take the neck that it comes with. I'm just going to cut it off, and then I'm going to butterfly my lamb. Simply take a really sharp knife and make little incisions and spread your lamb out as much as possible. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to try and trim off as much excess fat as possible. Once that's done, I'm going to pat my lamb down with some kitchen towels. I want to make sure that my lamb is as dry as possible. Then I'm going to place my lamb fat side down on my chopping board, and I'm going to season it with some salt and pepper. I'm also going to add some mustard. I've got about a half and half of both the mustards I used earlier, some French Dijon as well as some whole grain mustard. I'm going to mix it together. I'm going to spread it on the inside of the lamb leg. By now my mixture is nice and cool, and I'm simply going to spread it on top of the inside of my lamb leg, and I'm going to roll it. I'm going to turn it over onto my board so I have the inside seam on the bottom, and then I'm going to take some butcher's twine and I'm simply going to truss it. The best way to do this is to make a small knot right at the top of your roast, and then I'm going to bring it down about 1 inch, put my finger to hold it, and I'm going to take the twine around, make a little loop, and keep going. Once I've got to the bottom of the roast, I'm going to turn it over, tuck it in, bring it right up the top, and connect it to the first knot that I made and tie it all together. You should have a beautiful little package. Once this is done, I'm going to slather the top and the bottom with the reserved mustard, and then I'm going to cover it with some cling film, and I'm going to put it in my refrigerator where it's going to sit overnight before I can roast it. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. If you want your lamb cooked at medium to well, you need to cook it for 45 minutes, but if you want it well done, you need to cook it for about 90 minutes. What I'm doing is heating up my oven, and I'm also going to heat up my roasting pan. I'm going to take my lamb and I'm going to place it into my hot roasting pan, and I'm going to leave it to sear for at least 25 minutes. Once my lamb is seared, I'm going to add a mirepoix of vegetables to the roasting pan. Now that's just a fancy word for vegetables that have been cut into small cubes. I've got some celery, some carrots, some onion and some red peppers. I'm going to add all of this to the roasting pan, and what this is going to do is make a beautiful, delicious gravy together with the lamb drippings. Once my lamb is cooked, I'm simply going to strain all of that delicious gravy, and I'm going to thicken it up with a little bit of flour and serve it with my lamb. And this is so delicious. My family and friends are just going to love it. So thank you so much for joining me on Cravings Food Adventures. I do hope to see you again. Take care. Bye.